Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sam Zagar. I'm going to be jumping into something that I really honestly didn't expect myself to go into today. I went on Instagram this morning, saw a piece of content, had a certain kind of feeling about it, and I knew that that was going to be the jump off point for what we were going to talk about today. The thing that's going to anchor in this conversation is view perspective, the colors of view perspective. But that being said, this is not like a mechanical or technical or even advanced conversation on the colors of view perspective. I'm going to use this to highlight something really, really important about, I don't know, like something I want you to know, something I want you to keep in mind when you see the kind of content that I saw this morning. Okay. So I saw a piece of content this morning that was speaking from a place of awareness on a specific current global issue. I'm going to be as general as I can for this. So there are many current global issues going. There are many global issues going at any point. Some of these issues are things that are very intense, very scary, very terrible, and they are things that tend to have a lot of different opinions, perspectives. There's a lot of things that you could learn. There's a lot of things that you could say. There's a lot of things that you could share. And we live in a world where people are criticized for whether or not they share, and also what perspective they have when they share. Now, a current global issue came up on social media today. And the person who was talking about the issue wasn't so much talking about the issue, but what they were identifying was why people feel uncomfortable to talk about this issue. Now, whether it's the issue or why they feel uncomfortable to talk about it, what immediately came forward for me is, oh, view perspective. You know, when someone is laying out the way that they see things in front of me, I used to have this like, if that's how that person sees things, my next question is like, well, do I think that this person is smarter than me, more intelligent than me, more research than me, more aware than me? Is there a reason why I should see this person ultimately as some type of authority on the subject? And in that, there would be this consideration of whether or not I should share, I should have an opinion, I should learn more to develop an opinion. Like, let's be honest, social media is full of people sharing perspectives, opinions, what they believe is right, what they believe people should care about. Now, I have been very overwhelmed at many different points being on social media, going, I don't know what to do about this. I don't know how to get involved with this. I don't know how to care about this. I don't know what the education is on this. I'm not sure what the best perspective to have on this is. And in this concern that we're supposed to find the best perspective, the most true, the most correct, the most right, what we end up doing is alienating all of the other perspectives that had something to contribute. So ultimately, what I'm aiming to say throughout this conversation is no one perspective on anything is correct. No one perspective is ever a full or totally accurate perspective on things. Just from the point of view perspective alone within human design, view perspective is the third transformation. This is getting into variable, and it lives within the personality north node and south node below the line level. It's the color. Now, it follows the shape or tier of the hexagram, going 1 at the bottom and 6 at the top. Now, that 1 at the bottom is survival, survival view. Then we have 2, possibility view. Then we have 3, power view. Then we have 4, wanting view. Then we have 5, probability view. And then we have 6, personal view. Now, of those 6 different perspectives, just there we go, okay, if you were to look at any current global issue, but you looked at it through the lens of the color that you're actually supposed to have. Now, that being said, not everybody just naturally sees through the correct color. This is the third transformation. In theory, you are developing the brain, Then you're putting the body in the right setting and environment. And from there, you are seeing correctly. The right observations are coming out of you. You will either be left and focused or right and peripheral. And then you're going to be numbers 1 through 6. Now, with some awareness of human design, even if you're in those numbers 1 through 6, like let's say I am a 6, I'm personal view. Now, let's say you are also a 6 and you're a personal view. Even though we both share a sixth color personal view, we don't see things the same way. There's no way we could see things the same way because what's the tone underneath that view? What's the aura type that this is in? What overarching line is this in? What authority is having to deal with this? When we think about all the ways that you're mechanically different from someone else, I want you to hear that and be like, these are truly all of the ways I'm going to see something different from somebody else. I'm going to experience things differently. This is my unique and differentiated perspective on things. Now, when I saw that piece of social media this morning that was like, here's a big global issue that people seem to be afraid to talk about, and I think they're afraid to talk about it for these reasons. I looked at the reason that this person provided and I thought, what you are explaining absolutely sounds like one of the reasons. But it only sounds like one of the reasons. And that's the thing. Like, we can't really be like, that's the reason you're not doing something. That's so generalized. That's so homogenized. It's so universalized. No wonder it invites things like guilt and judgment. Those are all fives. There's so much about being stuck at this 5 level that really doesn't help us see the full differentiation of something, the full view of something. If your view of something was limited to a 5, it's like looking through a valley. It's a very narrow kind of focus. But if you're looking at something from a 6 perspective, you're up on the rooftop, or you're down at this like broad, expansive shore. The 6 is able to see significantly more than the 5. So we know that there's like this level that most people see things at, but then there's a level to see things at that is so unique, so differentiated, so specific, so personal, right? This this whole kind of like whatever this is, this rant, this lecture, this fired up chat is really meant for me to kind of soothe you and support you in that if you're encountering information out in the world and you're feeling pushed to align a certain way on it, and that especially if you're being pushed that like you are a terrible person if you don't agree with this one perspective, or you're an idiot if you don't see this one perspective, like if there's anybody ever who is telling you there is one correct way to view things, they're blind. Or they're at least extremely narrow in whatever's going on for them. And mechanically, that actually might be correct for them. But it doesn't mean that that person should be the role model for you or the example for you. I've experienced so many times that I've seen something getting fidgety. I've experienced many times seeing something online and not sharing the same perspective as somebody else, whether it's from lack of information or lack of awareness or lack of anything, but there are times that I don't see things the way that somebody else does. And we are taught to think that that is not only wrong, but that that's something to be like ashamed of or to hide, and I just don't feel that way. I have a lot of different perspective on things. I also actually don't think that I'm right about my perspective on most things. Like, truly, my perspective towards the majority of the world and information in the world is I probably don't know enough. Like, in general, I'm just like, oh, yeah, I probably don't know enough. In fact, if I ever think I found the right answer, there's a really good chance there's more to uncover. There's another perspective to have. I recognize that I have a wonderful limitation with my mechanics. My limitation is a focused personal view. The transference of that is a distorted power view. If I'm in my right market's internal environment, I'm likely going to see from my personal view. If I'm not in my markets, I'm in this distorted transferred environment, I'm also going to see from a distorted transferred power lens. If I look at things from a power lens, it's going to really mess things up for me. Now that being said, someone else out there has a correct power lens on things, and they're supposed to see things a certain way. We all have a perspective to contribute. That's the thing. There's a contribution happening here. There's something to be shared. There's something to chuck into the middle of all this, information and whatever that we're looking at. What's your view? And actually, does it align with what your human design color view is? Is it in alignment with it, or does it feel transferred from it? Do you really know how to suss out what your view is supposed to be? Do you feel wrong for seeing things differently from somebody else? Do you think that we all need to see things the same way? Do you think that we all need to agree on things? Do you think that we all need to be homogenized to a certain extent? How do you see things? Do you feel like you have to justify it when you see things differently? Do you feel like you have to overly explain yourself? Do you feel like your perspective is valid or that you're always having to defend what you see? I got excited about this conversation because the result of this conversation is the ability to be exposed to a lot more information without having either an emotional or energetic reaction to it. And I'm not saying that that you're trying to get to a point of not caring about things. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I don't want you to be put in a place of defensiveness just because you see things differently. It's okay if you see things differently. You're supposed to see things differently. If you're doing a reasonable job of differentiating and you see things in a very unique way, you're probably actually doing way better than most people. Okay. That was fun. I got a little bit fired up. Hopefully it made you feel better. See you next time.